Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Love Fruit podcast. And today's guest is Kostja Makarovic, technically Dr. Kostja or Kostja Makarovic from Slovenia. He's been 9 years on a raw vegan diet. He is a PhD in material science and he works in material science, working in research and development. He also has, I believe, a couple of fruit farms or fruit orchards. And I met Kostya probably around 8 or 9 years ago at the Slovenia Fruits and Health Festival. And I remember back then thinking, this guy's really doing this lifestyle really well. Like big bowls of fruit, huge salads every day. I saw he was always eating abundantly and enjoying life. So it's good to connect with you again, Kostya.
Yeah, hi, thank you. And yes, you're right. We met the Fruit Festival 2013 in Slovenia. It was a great pleasure to host such a event in Slovenia, and we had great time. I remember you singing by the fire uh, with longer hair as now. Also, I had a bit more hair as now, but yes, time flies, and so far so good. Yes, I keep doing raw from since that time, and I couldn't say that it was something bad or something else. I was just enjoying, and every year the season brings something new, and or something more in abundance than the other. So every year is a unique experience, and this that I like. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to say about yourself? Uh, Production?
Well, you say many things. Maybe I would say that I like to travel. I like to do sport. I am passionate diver. I build my own diving equipment, like rebreathers and so on. I explain this to my friends all the time because they know that I like underwater photography, underwater scenery, and I'm really sorry for the loss of the variety and the ecosystem under the water, which is
Right.
constantly degrading in the last 20 years for sure,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah, yeah.
30 years since I am a diver. And yeah, this I like mountains as well, so we are constantly going to the
Yeah.
mountains as well. And yeah, that's basically it. We do every year, probably we do some traveling. My job allows me somehow to go for 1 month abroad, so we can spend my vacations there. And
Nice.
of course, the seaside. It's a Slovenian, very classical for Slovenians that we are going to the seaside at least for 14 days during the summer. And the Slovenian and especially Croatian seaside is very nice and beautiful. And the Adriatic coast is really one of my best. So this is where we go almost every year.
Very cool. Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world. And I'd never really probably even thought much about Slovenia until I went to that festival. And um, I was already in love with going to fruit festivals. And I was very keen on learning more from Dr. Doug Graham and Professor Rosalind Graham, and they were both going to be there. So that was one of the reasons. But how did you get involved in that? Were you part of that event or were you just an attendee?
Sorry, I didn't understand you. This
Were you involved in the organization of that event?
Yes, at least a part of. I was in very close contact with the Matjaž Kovše, who was the main organizer, and I was trying to help him with some other things. However, I was just in the finishing of my PhD, So it was a bit tough time for me. So I could not promise to take a part of, but I was helping beside. Otherwise, I was one of the translator of the book 80-10-10 in Slovenian language. So therefore, we were organizing this everything connected around this in Slovenia. So yeah, I was involved, but not officially.
Yeah. So let's go back to yourself. So what was your lifestyle growing up? What was your diet? Was it kind of conventional for Slovenia?
I wouldn't say. I mean, okay, in Slovenia there is a huge variety of cultures. It's a small country, but still many landscapes and so on. And I'm coming from the western part, which has much more influence with the Mediterranean,
Right.
Italian, Croatian, and this kind of lifestyle. So compared to the inland Slovenia, we prefer to eat much lighter food and much more stews and all this stuff, salads, and much more Italian style, I would say, or Mediterranean style. However, of course, meat last half. I mean, after the Second World War, meat was just increasing in the diet of Slovenians as well as in Europeans for sure. And of course, my surroundings was following this trend. In any way, my father never liked meat, and he was always staring away from it.
Oh wow.
And because of the compassion to the animals, he didn't want to eat this cruelty. And that's why somehow it came to me to finish eating meat by the end of first of the primary school. So I would say around 2001, something like this. And I was full vegetarian, and I ate very plain, not really complicated food. I include, of course, cheese, meat, and sorry, cheese and dairy products, but absolutely no meat, absolutely no fish, and I was abandoning eggs in few years. Then later, and my for example, I was very satisfied with a meal, just potatoes with a piece of cheese, not prepared, just cut, and that's it. And maybe some olive oil, a bit of olive oil in beside, and that was my meal, like my lunch, for example.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we usually eat some pasta with vegetable sauce or something like this. And of course, beside that, tomatoes and zucchinis and all this stuff. I didn't like prepared salad, and I always ate like tomato in the garden. Just take the whole big tomato and eat it like this, or
Yeah.
zucchini, like the big one, kilo or 2 kilos, and you just grab it and eat it,
Very
and
cool.
so on. So then later on, I came to the conclusion that for the milk and all this, the animals are also involved, and that's maybe much better to not involve them. So I became vegan, and after becoming vegan, I was still thinking that it's too complicated somehow. And then I find out, well, I read the book, um, which is very popular in German world. It's from Helmut Vanmaker. In Slovenian translation, it's like, if you want to be healthy, forget about the cooking pot.
Right.
I think in German it's a bit, it's similar, but I don't remember exact address. I mean exact title. Anyway, this was then how to say, turning point, and then I went to the Serbia on a road trip. And as we know, Serbia is very traditional country. Meat is number one food, and veganism is something to be ashamed of. And I didn't want to search for the vegan restaurant there. And I say I will eat only what I find on the market, and it will be raw. I will not cook in the car or whatever. And that's how I became raw vegan on 1st of October 2012. This is the starting day of the trip.
Wow, so it happened because of being in Serbia.
Yeah, not because I've been, but because I went to traveling and it was much easier, and then I just continued.
So had you heard about the diet before? Did you tried it before? Had you read about it, or you were just from that German book? Is that the only thing that you'd read?
The only thing I know from about the raw food and all this stuff was from this book, but not read by me, because my mother was bringing this book to home maybe 5 years before I bring it to home, and I read it, and she was explaining to me some of these ideas which are written in this book. And by the way, this book is quoting Shelton and all these early hygienists a lot. So the idea of hygiene and natural hygiene and all this stuff was somehow subconsciously presented to me before I reinvented it for myself.
Right. So how did you find that change going on to raw foods from what you were doing before? Did you experience any benefit or change to your diet?
Since I was really eating very plain, I didn't miss too much. I didn't miss complications. So it was very easy for me, even how to say, much easier. Also to prepare much faster, much. These are the absolutely advantages. However, I was a bit misled with so many informations on internet, to eat so much, to eat not too much, to eat this kind of food more, to eat this less. And then maybe I was, how to say, didn't listen to myself too much.
Sure.
But this only result in losing few kilos. But so I was skinny, but then later on I gained back all the weight I lose maybe in this learning time, and nowadays I'm like maybe few kilos lighter than I was on a traditional diet, I would say.
Right. So you lost some weight.
Yeah, but that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. And how did you make that? How long did it take for you to feel comfortable on that diet, or make a transition to that diet, would you say?
To really say that's it, what to say? I mean, I wasn't that how to say, I wasn't that frustrated about this diet from the beginning on. Maybe I was just how to say, for myself to say, well, that's it. Maybe it takes 7 years, I would say.
7 years.
Yeah, I mean, it was same also before, but you know, to convince yourself that that's really is maybe 7 years. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
As you know, I am a scientist, so everything should be double checked, double blind placebo and all this stuff. No, I'm joking, but yeah.
Did you make any mistakes at that time?
Yeah, the first mistake. I mean, yes, of course. I mean, whatever you call mistake. I think the biggest mistake was eating the diet which somebody is prescribing you. So eating 30 bananas a day, for example. No, but I'm joking. But still, I mean, forcing to eat something which you don't really care for, because you should. But yeah, I mean, this is something which is not really good, I would say. Of course, I agree with the fruit-based diet and all this stuff. I agree with the low fat diet and so on. But still, I wouldn't say that it's very good to force anything in your diet if you don't feel it. And the other mistake, which is also maybe not really a mistake, but the improvement of later on was to include much more variety of food than just three fruits per 3 months, for example. Nowadays we are eating much more than just three fruit variety. I mean, 3 fruit types in 1 month, for example.
Sure, sure. So
Even in winter.
Did you come across 80-10-10 style diet quite soon on that journey?
Yes, I did. Basically, it was just at the beginning. So I started. I mean, I approached it maybe 3 months later, after I started. But also from that point of view, the book which I'm reading, I'm talking about at the beginning. So the German book was also promoting fruit as the basic of the diet. So this is, and a really small amount of fatty foods like nuts and seeds and all this stuff, maybe a handful per day maximum, and so on. So it was basically it.
Wow, that's amazing. I've never really heard of many books prior to 80-10-10 that were promoting that. That's pretty cool. So with that, I guess with that kind of diet, did it take you a while to? Well, here's another question I'd like to. As a scientist, was it something? Did you want to research it and understand it and look further into it? Did you do any of that kind of work?
No, basically, I didn't do much research on this. The only research I did it, but mainly for myself and not really in a scientific way. So the analytic methods were not very precise. I analyze different fruits and vegetables about the mineral content in it, and compare this to the Brix values and all this stuff. And well, it's interesting. In some cases, some mineral is more prevalent than in other type of fruit, and so on. There is no huge conclusions. Basically, the things which tasted more and better, they have also much more mineral content and perhaps also Brix values for the same type of fruit, of course.
Okay.
I'm talking about Briggs values. Maybe for those who don't know what is this, Briggs value is actually the amount of total solids dissolved in the fruit juice. So this contains sugars and minerals, and of course the minimal amount of vitamins as well. But the major constituent of total solids in fruit juice is sugar and the minerals.
Interesting. Interesting. So, is there anything interesting you found when you were doing that sort of research that was surprising to you?
Yeah, I was actually surprised when the experiment was done like this, that I take the grapes, for example, 100 grams of grapes and put it in a jar, and then I have to burn it. So at 600 degrees C for 1 hour. And of course, what it remains is only the ashes. So, and I was surprised, well, when you burn the salad, of course, you got like the powder. But when I burn the grapes, I find the balls of like of the mineral of ashes.
Wow.
And that's why, I mean, why is this? Because the majority of minerals are basically in the skin of the fruit, for example, for the grapes, and not so much in the inside. So this was like very nice to see, and this was some kind of how to say, the reason why to eat whole fruits.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. So that's very interesting because obviously a lot of people like to juice their food and get rid of the fiber, and they think this is maybe a good idea for digestion or whatever, but you're saying that actually they're removing quite a lot of the nutrients then.
Yeah, it depends on how good you juice them. If you really squeeze out everything from the peel or the skin of the grapes, then maybe the minerals will also penetrate to the fruit juice, and you will not lose much. Sure. But maybe you can, yeah. If you just press and squeeze like by hand, for sure, not much is in the fruit juice.
Awesome. So let's talk about Slovenia a little bit, which obviously you lived in for a long time. So how do you feel about doing this diet in Slovenia?
Well, at the beginning, we were quite big society of raw food diet people. Basically, well, we meet in some events like the fruit festival, the opening, the presentation of the new translation of 80-10-10 book, and so on. We also translated grain damage. We had some few more ideas to come, but then later on the enthusiasm somehow diminished.
Yeah.
But I still continue to have like at least every 3 months, something like this, and a raw food gathering in my apartment. We meet each other and we maybe eat plain fruits or something like this. It was like a fruit look, and but also this was diminishing until maybe a few months before 2012, 2020, sorry, when there was not enough people to be able to organize. I mean, it was just me and Urshka, so my girlfriend, and maybe 1 or 2 others. So yeah, it's more or less a private meeting than the fruit look. And then I decided to cancel. Then it was not allowed because of stupid rules of this pandemic, I would say. And then for now on, now we have babies, so we don't even have time to organize this anymore, but nobody else is organizing either. But yeah, there are still of course some other people which are raw food diets, which are eating raw food or 80-10-10 or this kind of fruit-based diet in Slovenia, but they're not as many as at the beginning, I would say.
Yeah, sure. So there's a bit of an enthusiasm there at that time. So my impression of Slovenia, my memory is that there was quite good fruit markets and there was figs and things like that, and a lot of people when we were driving around Slovenia, I saw a lot of people growing their own fruit. I saw many fruit trees. Is that something that you would say? Is that correct, or?
It is correct. They say that for the Slovenian, the most important thing of the house is a garden, vegetable garden. This is something in tradition, but also growing fruit. I mean, we have at least few quite good wine growing regions. So the wine growing regions are known for good climate. And of course, we have a part of region which is Mediterranean climate. So you can grow figs, you can grow all the Mediterranean fruits. Also in some regions, also oranges and mandarins. And of course, figs can be grown also on the other non-Mediterranean parts of Slovenia. And we have also the part of Slovenia which are very known for plums and apples and pears, and so that therefore, yeah, it is quite common that fruit trees are grown. And I believe this is origin from the Austro-Hungarian Imperium from maybe 1750 or 1850 in this age, where there was poverty and not much food present, and the Maria Theresia, who was the the queen of Austro-Hungarians, she make a law that every house should have one pear tree, one whatever trees, and I think from that reason, these fruit trees are still present.
Wow. Yeah. So what's a typical day like for you on your diet?
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, when I am at work, I start work at 7, and it's about 50 kilometers from Ljubljana. So I have to wake up at 6 to be there at 7, and I don't eat till 10:30, for example, and then I eat some juicy fruits usually. Nowadays, melons or oranges in the winter time. Then when I come home at 4, for example, then we eat together another fruit, usually more sweet fruit. I would say nowadays we still have persimmons, but the frozen one. All the remainings which could not eat fresh, we put in the freezer, and then we eat it later on when there is not so much abundance of homegrown fruit. And this is, for example, one of the ideas. So maybe 1 kilo of persimmons per meal, and then later on maybe one fruit more before the evening salad. But this evening, this fruit is not always. Depends on how hungry am I and how active am I. And the evening salad is very simple salad, usually consisting of homegrown greens or local greens we have also a very good connection with one farm. She grown, I mean, they grown quite tasty greens, and other vegetables. And we usually put inside some tomatoes, avocados. Basically, that's it. In the summertime, we put beside also the zucchinis, the cucumbers, peppers. That's it. And sometimes we eat after the salad some nuts or seeds. That's it.
And do you include any supplements in your diet?
We do include the B12, but in very, very small amounts. I prepare the solution for myself. I buy the ampoules for the injections, and I dilute this with the water, and then we eat 1 milliliter of this diluted water every day, or it is planned to have every day, but we don't. We forget sometimes, so we are not somehow to say fixed every day. We have to do such amount.
Sure.
And it's by the calculation we eat approximately 20 micrograms of B12 per day. And why we are doing this, we never had any symptoms at all of B12 deficiency, but the blood test reveals that our B12 was on the bottom level. And then I say, oh, let's start. Let's check what is going to be if we really take really small amount orally. And the B12 level improved a lot, very fast. And now we are keeping somehow plateau value of around 400 units. I don't know which one, millimoles per liter, I think. And the other thing which we include is the potassium iodide. Again, in very, very small solution. We don't eat salt. We don't eat iodized salt. And we had troubles with not really troubles. Still, again, no symptoms at all. But our thyroid hormones were getting low, especially T3, I guess. Sorry, it was high. I have to check this. I'm not sure. But anyway, and before and me and Urshka as well. So my girlfriend, she had similar blood test. I mean, similar result of blood test. And before having baby, they recommend, the doctors not only recommend, but they insist that the thyroid hormones should be all fine because of the possible cretinism, which can be as a consequence of this. And then we were thinking what to do. The specialist tries to prescribe us the artificial hormones for the thyroids, and we didn't agree with it. And then I say, okay, we are not eating iodide salt and so on. So let's try to have like the solution of this. I prepare it on my own again, and of course, in 1 month, everything was okay. Everything was perfect, even though previous results was 4 or 5 years was not perfect, but without any symptoms. So we didn't care much because we feel perfectly fine, but still the blood tests were not okay. And at least for the doctors will be very, very, very complicated to agree with such results, especially with during pregnancy. And but nowadays, now it's everything like very, very good. and everything in range. Nobody said nothing. Everything perfect. And of course, we are not on artificial hormones, and our doctors, of course, agrees with this, and everything is fine. And that's it. I think we don't eat anything else.
So were you saying there, just to explain, that because you found your thyroid levels were low, that you took potassium iodide? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. But we don't know if this is the, I mean, if the deficiency of iodine is the really reason for that. But for sure, potassium iodide has something to do with our thyroid hormones.
Okay, thank you. So outside of the diet, what other aspects of your lifestyle are important in terms of maintaining health?
Yes, of course it is. I mean, I cannot imagine that I could do so much things and with such energy as I would do on a traditional diet. I'm sure not, because first of all, it will take a lot of my time for preparing food, and the second of all, I guess I could not do it energetically, in an energetical sense.
Sorry, what I was asking was, outside of the diet, what are the other things in your lifestyle that are important to you for maintaining your health?
Oh yeah, of course, absolutely. I mean, as I already explained, I didn't go to raw food only because of the diet, but also because of other aspects of healthful living, which I implement in beside the raw food diet. I was very active from the beginning on, so I was very active also on the traditional diet. So diet didn't make very much difference on being active for myself. Of course, I was improving much more to get rid of chemicals from my apartment and my environment. So we don't use any artificial stuff for cleaning. We prepare our own soap for cleaning the dishes or the washing clothes. We are preparing our own washing powder. We are cleaning our floors with only a solution of soda, so sodium carbonate, and water. And we are not washing our clothes with anything else than just a few things which are absolutely non-toxic to the environment.
Right. So you're telling me you've done a bit of travel, and what have been some of your experiences with traveling on this lifestyle? Where have been some of the good places that you visited?
We see a lot of different countries. We spent more than 3 months in Southeast Asia. I was traveling several times to Thailand, Cambodia, Laos. I was in China as well. I was in Colombia, in Mexico this year. And of course, we have done several road trips. In 2012, we were on a road trip through whole Italy. So we made the road trip 6,050 kilometers by car. And but in my impression, and I was traveling even before, while not being on raw food diet, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina. Of course, I will not talk about the European countries because I visit most of them. But anyway, I was also mostly every year I go to Russia, at least to Moscow, business. But anyway, it's still raw food, raw food there as well. They have perfect tomatoes in Moscow, by the way, but they're expensive. They're from Uzbekistan, but really something to treat yourself. But in my impression, I would say Thailand has the best fruit eating culture. So you can get very easy, ripe and good quality of fruits, and they know what to offer you to taste good, because they also like sweet and good tasting fruits. In Colombia, I would also say they have nice fruits. I was a bit how to say, not really impressed about the Mexican fruits, especially not in Yucatan region. However, you could find something really good, but the culture of eating fruits is not as developed as in Thailand. And I ate the best pineapples in Laos, in a city named Phon Savan. It's a bit higher, 1,000 meters above sea level, and those pineapples were amazing. We bought them for 3 days, like to have one each day each, and then I ate everything in one night. So they were so good. We ate maybe five pineapples each, and it was like eating mango. Very sweet,
wow.
completely without acid, and I was absolutely not burnt at all. So really something to recommend. And the Brix value of those were, I think, 25, which average for the pineapple is 50. So this is like very, very high and so good.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So you've always been able to stay raw wherever you've traveled?
Yeah, easy. It's much easier than being non-raw.
So you've been obviously to events and you've met other raw vegans. Do you see, what are some of the mistakes you see people making on this diet?
Well, there are many mistakes. The biggest mistake is not allow yourself to stay on it. This is the biggest mistake, and why this happens, there are many reasons for that. One of them is for sure that they don't allow themselves to have enough variety of fruits and to have enough variety of other foods, and they don't allow themselves to experiment with the diet. I mean, I don't think it's something very bad if you try to have a bit more avocados every night, maybe to try to have it a bit less, to be absolutely no fat few days. It's not bad if you allow yourself to eat only salad few days. It's not bad if you allow yourself to eat only bananas for a few days, and so on. I think they are too rigid in what they meant to be healthy, and then they fail because they just are locked in some space, and maybe it's just another salad or another fruit which would save them to get off the diet, but this is not allowed, so they don't do it, and they go back completely, which is completely nonsense. I mean, why to abandon something which works most of the time but not once? I mean, then it's great. It's not nice. Yeah, okay. But for some reason also, I mean, it's something you have to decide for yourself.
Yeah.
It's like decision whether you smoke or whether you don't smoke, whether you go for a walk or whether you don't go for a walk. you will not die if you don't go for a walk today, but you will die if you don't go for a walk every day for a whole life. And
Yeah.
it's similar with also with this. I mean, you will not die if you will eat few meals of cooked food, but most probably you will not be as healthy as you would be if you eat much better quality of fruits, food like fruits.
Mm.
And this is something that you have to decide for yourself, whether you will be dedicated on this, or whether you would like to have like pizza. And but if you will think, and if you would like to think about pizza, then and don't make clear in your head why you would have something else, then you will not stay on raw food diet, because it's the consequences are not so pronounced if you don't do really big mistakes. I mean, big, yeah.
And what are your best pieces of advice for beginners to this diet?
It's many things to include, but first of all, sleep a lot. I mean, enough. Second of all, don't pay too much attention on the diet. Keep balance of every aspect of healthful living. In the book 365 of Doug Graham, they are very nice listed, which 32 aspects of healthy life should be included. The diet is only one of course, important, but if you will keep eating fruits and enjoying the healthy lifestyle, the diet will be improving automatically. And the third thing, I would say, be relaxed and listen to yourself. I mean, don't be too limited. Don't look like this. Be open and analyze yourself. So how did I feel if I ate 15 bananas? How did I feel if I ate 5 avocados? How do I feel if I eat very bad avocado? How do I feel if I eat very good avocado? How do I feel if I eat very bad melon? How do I feel if I eat small amount of very good one, and so on? This is things you have to learn. Nobody learned us to eat raw in our childhood, and that's why we have to learn it later on. And it's much more difficult, because if you know only one story, then it's much easier than if you know 2 stories.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
So to unlearn things is much more difficult than to learn new things.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you now have a child, so do you want to talk about you and your partner and the pregnancy and how everything's gone for your child as well?
Yeah, well, you maybe I get you wrong, but you are asking me how we get through the pregnancy and the
Yeah, if you just want to talk about that, and if there were any challenges, or how did, as raw vegan parents, how did you experience that pregnancy? Was it typical? Was it better than usual, easier than usual, or what were there any challenges?
Well, the pregnancy was nice. The pregnancy was really, my girlfriend was very active, every day at least 2 hours of walking. She was having fun on the fresh air, sunshine, and so on. The diet didn't change much for her. Maybe she included 1 avocado more, 1 piece of fruit more, but not much, really not much. She didn't gain much weight. She gained maybe 4 kilos which is a bit low, but everything was perfect. She was able to walk all the time. After 3 days after due date, we were hiking, and by the mistake we went on a hill with 600 meters of elevation gain. It was not planned, but it was her choice. She didn't know that it's that high, but it was nice, and we were able to go up and down, and everything was perfect. And our little Leo was born 9 days after due date. He was a bit smaller and a bit lighter than the average, but everything like perfect. However, the birth itself was not very easy because we had some complications. He was turned upside down, of course, but the opposite way. And for such birth, it's very classical that it took longer. And in majority of cases, you cannot do it without cesarean section. However, we did it. We did it at home. We have a midwife and doula, and we have a home birth, and we did it. It took 13 hours, but with the sleeps in between, so everything relaxed, no panic at all, and everything was just perfect. The first phase of the I forget the
Labor, is it?
Of giving birth was longer, but then the transition to get out was very fast. Like the midwife was saying that she didn't expect that it will be so fast. On average, it took 2 hours, but in our case, it was just 30 minutes. It was just really express. When everything starts to get off and to get out, then it went out like very, very fast. But to get to there, it was more tough story, but not very problematic. However, our midwife said that if we would be in a hospital, we would for sure end with the cesarean section as a very, very problematic birth.
Right.
But so far so good. She was, after 3 hours, she was perfectly fine. Maybe half an hour after the birth, she was able to go to the toilet alone, and the midwife and the doula was saying to her, "Wow, you are going alone. Maybe you will fall down and so." But yeah, she was perfectly okay, and so on. Yeah, and the first meal after the birth was sleeping, 3 hours of sleeping, and then the peaches.
And is your baby eating any fruit yet, or are they still breast?
Yeah, we are starting to introduce him. Not really to introduce, but he would like to know what we are doing, and he came to us and see what we are doing, and we don't prevent him for tasting the fruits like this. But we only, when we give him the fruits, we made at the beginning, we only give him some fruit juice, like half deciliter, so 50 milliliters of fruit juice, like orange juice. But now later on, now we give him also like a piece of orange, and then he sucked a piece of orange, or melon, or mangoes in Mexico, or ananas, and so on. So bananas sometimes, yes, also. But he's still breastfeeding a lot. Maybe more than 90% of food is still coming from breastfeeding. But this fruit is just for introduction, to introducing himself with the new food and all this stuff. And he really enjoys this new things in his mouth.
Amazing. Awesome.
And really, we would really like to wait before the introduction of solid foods to have the teeth. At the moment, he's just start to teething, but when he could really chew, then he will of course eat majority of fruits compared to breast milk. But it's still time to do it.
Great. So what are your plans going forward, Kostja? I imagine you plan to stay on this diet, and I think you told me you had some fruit orchards and things like that. So you're growing some fruit. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, we do have me and my girlfriend. We have started the fruit orchard independently. So now we join them together, but they are in two different locations, 100 kilometers in between, and two different climates. So, but now the trees are 7 years. The older tree is 7 years old. Hopefully this year we will start to have some cherries. The blossom was very nice. So and some maybe some apples as well in the Urshka's place. And of course we would like to improve this fruit orchard till the mature fruits. And we like to be there because it's in the middle of nature, like very remote places. And of course we would like and we will. I mean, there is no reason to not stay on this lifestyle. And that's it. It's easy and plain and very comfortable. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, I want to just thank you for joining us today and sharing about your life and everything. And do you have any final thoughts or any final words before we come to an end?
Whew, you say that I don't need to be prepared for. So maybe I really don't know how to say, but yeah, I really, if you are interested in this lifestyle, I recommend it at least to try. And don't how to say, don't get off the lifestyle with the one only single problem, but
Sure.
take your time and you will see that many things it's much better than on any other lifestyle.
Well, thank you very much for joining me today, Kostja, and I appreciate everyone that's watching and listening. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel or subscribe to the podcast and give us some comment or feedback. Rate the podcast if you like it, and please share it with other people that you think it might help. We also have Friday night free gatherings on Friday nights via Zoom, Fruity Fridays, and you can get more information about these things if you go to fruitfest.co.uk. You can join our newsletter, and you can also learn more about the UK Fruit Fest, the raw vegan festival held in the UK each year. So thank you very much for joining me, Kostja. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you in another episode of the Love Fruit podcast.
Thank you, Ronnie, and it was very nice to see you again. Bye-bye.